Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It has been such a long time since I've sat down and done one of these chatty style Q&A videos, so you guys are long overdue a bit of a big life update. Obviously the last time I think I spoke to you guys like this was to tell you that I was moving into a new job. Obviously I'm living in London now, which I have been since like August and we're now at June, so maybe you need a bit of an update on how that's going as well. Yeah, I guess there's just a lot to share, a lot changed in my life, a lot also still the same, and I figured I would sit on here and answer some of your questions. Apologies for how delayed this is, and thank you to everybody who's submitted questions every time I've asked. I think I've asked about 2 or 3 times now, so you guys have been very patient with me and I appreciate that. Living in London and working in London is very, very busy, so it is hard to find time to just sit down and talk like this. I obviously vlog as well, but it's easier to kind of slot that into my daily routine than it is to sit down and plan out a video or write down your list of questions and take the time to really sit and chat. And I have a spare minute now. I mean, not much of a spare minute because I am really, really busy at the minute. We're in the month of June, which, as you guys know, is my birthday month, and that means I do have a lot of plans in the diary. It's also holiday month, which I'll probably touch on later on in the video, I guess, with my life update. But yes, very, very busy at the minute. As I'm filming this, it is Tuesday. It's Tuesday, it's my birthday this Saturday, and then in 4 or 5 days time from my birthday I then go on holiday with my family. So much happening at the minute, but here I am squeezing in time for this little Q&A video. I've written down the questions in my trusty notebook as ever, so if you see me looking down, that's why. And yeah, let's get straight into this Q&A. So the first question, keeping it very generic, is how's life? First of all, thanks for asking. That's a really sweet question. Life is pretty good at the minute. It is a big old roller coaster. So much change, as I've said. New job and getting settled in, and yeah, just getting used to this new routine. But life is going really well. Obviously, the last time I spoke in one of my vlogs, I think I'd been talking about being on the bottom, and I mean, that is a big reality of living alone in your 20s. I mean, I'm not alone as such because I do live in a flat with other people, but yeah, a big reality of not living with your family, I guess, is loneliness and not getting to see people as much. But I'm kind of in a really like high place at the minute. I think it's very much peaks and troughs. You do go through the waves of it, and I think anyone who's in their 20s and living out of home will probably tell you this, and people who do still live at home as well. But obviously I'm very, very far from my family, so I'm not as close to that support network. But I'm in a high period at the minute, which is really good. I think I've got a lot coming up in the diary to look forward to. I have found better coping mechanisms for dealing with things when I do start to feel down or overworked, or like I need time to myself. Like it comes in swings and roundabouts. I guess sometimes it's I don't see enough people and I start to feel lonely, and then to compensate for that I make loads of plans and then get burnt out from seeing too many people and just want to hibernate and have time to myself. So I definitely think I've gotten better at managing that balance. I'm loving my job at the minute. I'll touch on that in some of the later questions because some of you guys did ask about my job, but that is going really well as well, which helps with your mood because so much of your day is spent at work, or so much of your week, sorry, is spent at work. So knowing that that's in a good place really helps feeling good outside of work as well. So that was a very long, rambly answer to how's life. Pretty good, I would say. The next logical question after that, I guess, is how is your new job? And as I said before, my new job is going really, really well. For any of you that don't know, I've just started a new role as a graduate product manager. I moved across from my company's business graduate scheme onto the technology graduate scheme. I did make a video on that, so go check it out if you haven't seen it already. But to summarize, it's going really well. I am 2 months in and I love my team. I love the work. I've picked it up so quickly and I'm, you know, fully in the swing of this new routine. I feel like I'm adding value, like I'm actually doing useful work that's contributing to the wider work of the team, which is really nice to have hit the ground running so quickly with that. I feel like I'm speaking in a lot of metaphors this video, but bear with me. For context, the job that I was in previously relates slightly to the job I'm in now. So previously I was a buyer, whereas now I'm in the tech side of my business, but I'm working on an application that our buyers use. So I used to be a user of this application and now I'm working on the actual technology itself. So it really does help having that commercial business awareness, having real life user experience with the application. So I've been able to just pick it up quite quickly, as I've said, and be able to really start contributing to the day-to-day, sharing my ideas, sharing my feedback, offering judgment and opinion, which I've never really been confident to do before. But I think because I'm coming in with some background knowledge, I feel confident in what I'm saying, which is a really good place to be. And my team have empowered me quite a lot to feel that level of confidence, because they've given me so much independence and put so much trust in me. Like, they've put me on a project that is just solely mine to manage, which kind of blows my mind that they've given me this much responsibility 2 months in and trust me to sort of see that out. And it's been my responsibility to build a timeline and roadmap for it, engage the necessary stakeholders, interview the necessary colleagues, and yeah, gather all of my research and talk to engineering and talk to designers and come up with my sort of proposal for what we should do and take that to the business. And I just, yeah, I'm amazed they've given me this much trust, which I love, because I love being challenged. I love being in quite a technical, detail-oriented area, so this really fits with what I enjoy, what I'm passionate about, my detail-oriented logical brain. So I just feel like this job and my ways of working, my interests, my passions are just perfectly aligned. So I'm feeling very, very happy in this new job. The next 2 questions are kind of related. So the first one says, do you like living in London? And the second one is, do you see yourself staying in London for the next few years or transferring offices? So the first question, do you like living in London? I love living in London. Now, if you'd asked me before I'd moved to London, do you want to move to London? Could you see yourself living there? I would have straight up said, absolutely not. It's far too busy. The tube terrifies me. I don't know my way around. It seems so busy and no one chats, and it just seems too hectic and manic for my liking. I'm a countryside girl at heart. I'm from the north. I just didn't see myself being in London. Having been here since August now, I can hand on heart say that I love living in London and couldn't see myself anywhere else at this moment in my life. I think as someone who's in their early 20s, about to turn 24 on Saturday, it's just the place to be. It's such a hub for social gatherings. There's so much to do. There's art galleries, museums, restaurants, events, exhibitions. There's just always something on in London, and all of my friends are here. They're so easy to get to. The tube, I used to be terrified of the tube, but now I will sing its praises because it gets me from A to B so quickly. I could be in central London in like 30 minutes, probably less than that, and all of my friends are in walkable or tubeable distance, so it means my social life is popping off since I've moved to London, which is great because, I mean, I'm kind of like an omnivert, but more I think on the extroverted side recently, especially, definitely leaning that way more, so it helps that I have easy access to all of the people I love with my whole heart, and I can make regular plans and get out, and again, it helps with that managing loneliness sort of piece as well that I've touched on. And I've touched on in another video before, so check that out as well if you haven't seen it. But yes, I think I love living in London, and it's the right place to be for me right now because I need the hustle and bustle, and it's given me so much confidence and independence. As I've said, like, I think I'm a lot more confident person in general, in my job, in myself now because of living in London. I don't mind taking myself off out on my own, taking myself on solo dates, to restaurants or to go shopping. I have no qualms about doing things alone, and I kind of love being alone because it makes me feel empowered. And I think I've then transferred that confidence into my day-to-day, which means I'm thriving in my job because I can bring my brightest, most confident, most assured self to work, whereas before I was a little bit shyer and mousier and probably wasn't giving as much or was holding myself back potentially. And it's also helped again with friendships because I am now a doer and an arranger. I used to do anything to avoid plans because they made me anxious, and I used to hate public transport and going out, and now I will hop on a tube if you just text me like, let's meet. I'm like, I'm there, what time? I'm on my way. Like, living in London has just done so much for me and my confidence. So yes, love living in London. To that second point, do you see yourself staying here long term, or do you see yourself transferring offices? I guess I kind of have to answer from a work angle because my company is very, very UK focused and UK based. We do have offices in other parts of Europe, but we're predominantly a UK business. So I guess transferring offices is kind of off the cards. So if I wanted to move, it would likely have to be if I got a new job. And right now I'm very happy where I am. I've kind of restarted this new graduate scheme. I probably have about a year left on it, and then I'm going to reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. But as things are going, I love my company, I love my job, I love my team. I'm happy where I'm living right now. I have another year left on my flat contract, so that's definitely guaranteed, staying in this part of London in this house for another year. I guess I'll evaluate as I go, but as I've said, I want something fast-paced right now, and I feel like no other city in the UK could top that. If I wanted to leave London and wanted something busier or just as busy, I think I'd have to maybe go abroad. Munich, Berlin, because I'd like to pick my German back up potentially, or New York. I don't know, these are all kind of like fantasies. I'm just spitballing, like these aren't ideas formed in my head. I've just read the question and I'm giving you a bit of a brain dump. But yes, as I've said, I'm very happy here right now. I don't see myself living in London long term, as in when I come to settle, when I want a family, when I want a quieter life, it's not going to be in London. I'm not going to be able to afford London, but it wouldn't be London anyway. As I said earlier, I'm a country girl at heart. I do like that sort of quiet life and nature and fresh air that isn't polluted by tube smog. But as someone who's in their early 20s, London is the place to be for me at this moment. The next question is, how are you balancing work, life, friends and dating? And this is a really good question. I could not tell you. I think I'm very good at being in tune with my body and my mind and knowing when things are too much or not enough. I kind of touched on this earlier on in my answer about burning out or needing to be around people and being a bit of an omnivore, and I think it's just something that's come with time and really learning to establish boundaries, listening to myself and then putting those boundaries in place, because I am a bit of a people pleaser. I'm a yes person. I don't like to let people down. I like to take on arguably too much because I am a high achiever. I came from that like Cambridge background where you're used to just being constantly switched on and yes, yes, yes. And I think since leaving that, I've really learned you don't need to always be that yes person, and it's all right to take time. It's all right to slow down. And I mean, there's been no greater lesson than the lesson I've taken from moving from the business to the tech scheme. I think a lot of people might have seen that as a step back or a stagnation, but really for me, it's kind of taking me in a step in the right direction. So even though I've signed on to another year on a graduate scheme that's longer than what I expected, it's ultimately taking me to where I need to go. So going at my own pace has really helped, and making decisions that are right for me, not based on anybody else, listening to my gut, listening to what I want to do has been really, really important and difficult, because we're not always the best at listening to ourselves and doing what's right for us. So I'm glad that I've kind of turned that corner and started doing that for myself. In terms of balancing things, I guess I try not to make plans during the work week as much as I can, or I kind of like time designate or time block. So I know mostly Mondays and Wednesdays tend to be my gym or running days because I work from home, so there's no stress of trying to get back home. I don't like to make plans with other people during the work week because I know that stresses me out and it's quite a lot to deal with. So Monday, Wednesday tends to work as exercise time for me. I've been stuck in the house all day working at my desk, so I want to get out, I want to move and get those endorphins flowing and feel good, so that tends to happen quite naturally. I tend to be in the office Tuesday and Thursday for the most part, sometimes Wednesday, Thursday, it does alternate a little bit, and having that flexibility really does help as well. But generally, because they're office days, that's kind of designated as I'm not going out after work these night days, because I've been in the office all day around people, constantly switched on, and that is quite exhausting as well. And I've been up early to commute in, so those days I try to make sure I make no plans after work on. That's me time. That's come home, cook, go to bed, watch some mind-numbing telly like Love Island, and you know, switch off. I guess days like Friday nights are more for dating plans, because naturally you're coming into the weekend. A lot of people, when they're dating, don't like to make weekend plans because that time's kind of reserved for friends and family, which I get. So a lot of people on dating apps, from my experience, tend to push to meet after work during the week, and I try to establish that boundary of, if you're going to do it, make sure you're not spreading yourself too thin, make sure it's not a night after you've been in the office, because I will tend to be tired and not on my best form, and you want to be bright and lively when you're going on dates. But I kind of stick to that rule. Yeah, Monday, Wednesday exercise, Tuesday, Thursday in office, no evening plans, Friday potentially dating if I have the time and I'm up for it, and then Saturday, Sunday is time for friends or time to just be on my own or get my chores done. So that's generally how I do it. I'm not sure there's any one-size-fits-all method, but if you're looking for some sort of way of time blocking, just take a look at your diary and just work out which days you can give more or which days you need more for yourself, I guess. And that's the best way to do it, I think, at least for me. But I hope that helped. And one thing to add to that actually is sometimes you've got to know which is your highest priority and which is your lowest priority. So naturally, if I'm feeling really overworked and stressed, I've got a lot coming up, dating's always going to take a back seat. That is my absolute lowest priority. I'm in a good place right now. I'm loving life on my own. I'm loving spending time with my friends, and I'm really investing in my career at the minute. Those are my big priorities. So if I'm getting overwhelmed, dating's going back on the shelf. Like, for me, that's not a big priority. If it is for you, then make time for that. But I think knowing where your priorities sit and knowing where you can deprioritize is also really important. I guess naturally leading on from that, I got a lot of questions about my dating life. So how's dating going? What's your relationship status? How's the love life? Relationship status, still single, but happy and single, and that's what's important. I think I've spent a lot of time really working on myself, getting to a place where I'm happy with where I am, working out those priorities, as I've said, which for me right now is living my best life, improving myself, my mental health, my physical health, investing time in the relationships I care about most, friendships, family, those kind of relationships, not necessarily romantic ones, and doing things for me that I love, like discovering my love for the gym and running again. Because I'm single, I have time to do those things. Vlogging, I have time to do. Going to Cambridge to see my friends, and you know, really working out what I want from life has been a really great part about being single. So yes, I'm definitely a lot happier about being single now, which is really good. And again, I've been through peaks and troughs. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I just really want to find someone. Dating's really on my agenda at the minute. At the minute, I'm definitely not in one of those phases. I'm quite ambivalent about dating, a bit apathetic. For me, it's like, yeah, great if something happens. Equally, not so bothered, not gonna force it, not gonna sort of sacrifice my time or stress myself out trying to do it if I'm quite busy at the minute. As I've said, it is a bit of a backseat priority at the minute. So for me, I'm like actively dating still, yes. Like, if I'm chatting to somebody and there's a chance comes up to go out and meet them, I'm not going to turn it down. Equally, I'm not sort of speed dating, trying to really force it, really find someone. For me, I'm just very happy with where I am, and I'm peaceful at the minute. And that's not to say relationships aren't peaceful, but they can be very turbulent in terms of emotions, like the good and the bad. Like, obviously when you're in a relationship, you're working out compromise and boundaries between you, so there can be some arguments and negatives, but likewise, it can be really highs of emotion, like excitement and giddiness, and it kind of just, it's like a tornado whistling through your life. And I think I need to be in a space where I'm ready for that to happen. And right now I am peaceful, and it would have to be something really special to come along and disturb that peace, because I'm happy just cruising along right now. I would equally be happy for that chaotic love energy if it decided to rock up into my life, but as I've said, it would have to be something pretty special, because I'm quite calm, cozy and content with where I am right now. Enjoying dating in a very chill manner, sort of as and when it pops up, as and when the opportunity presents itself, but not super like focused and honed in on it, like I need to find someone, I need to date, this is a big priority for me. Which it isn't a bad thing if it is for you, but it's just not for me right now. I've got so much going on with my life, with seeing friends, with my birthday coming up, with holiday coming up, with my new job and getting settled in here. Like, that's what I care about at the minute. And if something happens in my dating life, great. If not, nothing lost. The next question is about trips. So a lot of you were interested in my holidays. So somebody asked, how do you afford so many trips on a grad salary? And I guess, I mean, I don't think I go on loads and loads of trips. I do have a holiday coming up. I did go on a friend holiday. I tend not to do more than that each year. I just have this one family holiday and this one friend holiday that's just gone. Went to Denmark with friends last summer. I went to Munich to see a friend in March. And it's not that I have loads of money, like I am on a grad salary. I'm comfortable, but I'm also quite careful with my money. I'm not super extravagant. I don't go out drinking a lot in London. Groceries wise, I buy what I need. I do have an Excel tracker to make sure I'm not being ludicrous with money. I don't spend frivolously. Like, again, if you do, like, good for you that you're putting your money into something you want. But personally, I'm not out every weekend shopping, buying the latest tech, buying clothes and shoes. For me, most of my money goes into experiences with people, dinners out or holidays, trips back home to see my parents. Like, that's where I enjoy spending my money. and I like to save a lot of my money so I can do that. So as I've said, I do budget carefully. I do have a spreadsheet. I know how much I'd like to spend on a weekly grocery shop. I know how much is going out on bills, how much I'm putting into my savings account, and then how much from my savings I'm willing to designate on holidays. So I guess that is my way of doing it. I'm not here to sit and tell you how to manage your money, and I appreciate people are on varying salaries and you might budget as well and have a spreadsheet and be careful with your money, and that doesn't mean you'll be able to afford the same things I can afford, and likewise I can't afford the same things that other people can afford, and we're all on various salaries. So yeah, it's not my position to say, yeah, if you save your money then you can afford holidays like me. Like, I'm not tone deaf to that, and we're in this cost of living crisis at the moment. But I would say I don't go on holiday loads and loads, but when I do, I book into places like hostels. We can do things on the cheap. We can make our own lunches up. It doesn't have to be an expensive restaurant for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Like, I do think there are ways around it. Getting cheap deals, going outside of the school holidays, looking around, going on comparison websites to try and get away if that's what you want to do. I think there are definitely ways of doing it cheaper than booking into a 5-star luxury hotel and flying first class, you know? But I do appreciate that not everybody can do that. I would also say that holidays don't necessarily have to be abroad. Like, we saw the rise of the staycation during COVID and post-COVID, even now in this cost of living crisis. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with holidaying in the UK, and for a lot of my childhood when I grew up, that's all we did. So I would definitely say look for cheap train ticket deals. Get away in the UK. Like, for me, London is such a hub of transport. It's so easy to get anywhere. I could be at Brighton in an hour and having a day on the beach. I could be at Cambridge in less than an hour spending a day with friends. But yes, fully appreciate that this isn't possible for everybody, and I appreciate that I'm very, very lucky and very fortunate in the job I have, on the salary I'm on, with the life I'm living, and yeah, I'm not ignorant to that. The next question is, would you ever go backpacking? Now, I've always really wanted to do this. Like, everyone's had that dream of like interrailing around Europe on the Eurostar. I guess I kind of had that dream more so when I was finishing university, and I'd hoped that I might have done some kind of traveling then with friends, but obviously the pandemic hit and it wasn't possible. I'm not sure backpacking as such is for me. I do like my luxuries. I like a nice shower and a toilet that is functional and sanitary, and I think being sweaty and having my whole life in a backpack on my back for a month or something just wouldn't really be for me. I mean, great if it's for you, but I'm not sure I could take it. But it is a big dream of mine to see Southeast Asia. That's always been on the plan. I would like to see like Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, those sort of places, and I always thought I was going to do that after university until COVID kind of prevented it from happening. It is still a bit of a dream, not sure it'll ever happen, but I guess I could put my mind to it. I am saving because I want to live these life experiences while I'm young, while I can afford to save, and I don't have big outgoings like a mortgage, like kids or a car, or, you know, at the minute I'm saving to do the things I want to do while I have the freedom and the time and the money to do it at this age, without all of those big responsibilities just yet. So maybe it will happen. I guess I've got another year left on this graduate scheme. Maybe I'll take a bit of a career break before I go into a more permanent role, or maybe I'll transition into a permanent role, get settled, and then take sabbatical, which they offer at my company. That's basically unpaid leave that you can take for an extended period of time. So maybe I could take 2 months off and do that. For me, it's a big fear to do it on my own. I don't think I'd ever want to do it completely solo and running off my own plan and just hopping on and off trains as and when they turn up. That's not me. I'm such a planner. I'm very organised, and I think I'd find that very stressful. But I know there are travel companies that have itineraries arranged that I've looked into, where they basically book all your hostels along the way, and the transport, you just pay it all up front, and they will just ferry you around. You have the freedom to come and go as you please through the day, or to join the activities and the sightseeing that they've put on. But that sounds a little bit more for me because it's a little bit more structured, whilst also having my small freedoms as we go. So fingers crossed, maybe it will happen, I hope, one day, but we'll have to see how things go with the job first. The next question I actually got a few times, which is quite funny, and it's just a little question, not that deep, but do you support Newcastle Football Club or Newcastle United? If any of you don't know, I'm originally from Newcastle. My parents and my brother are big football fans. They follow the football. They're big Newcastle supporters. I mean, yeah, I support them. I don't follow football. I don't watch it regularly. But if I was going to support any team, it's obviously going to be my home team. So yeah, sure. I want Newcastle to do well, but I don't watch football. F1's my sport if anyone's interested. I do like to watch a lot of F1, but yeah, just football doesn't appeal to me, but go Newcastle. The next question is about reading. As you guys know, because I harp on about it all the time, my degree was in English literature, so I do like to read a lot. I've set a small reading challenge for myself this year of 30 books, which probably sounds like a lot to most people, and I thought that sounded like a lot, but everybody I went to uni with reads like hundreds of books every year, so I'm like, where do you have the time to do that? So I set 30. Every year it seems to be around 30 to 32. And that's what I'm trying to make time for. Let me get my Goodreads up just to see what I've been reading, what I can recommend. I read Dune this year and I really loved that. I like read that so quickly, like blitzed through it and couldn't put it down. Considering it's such a huge book, I'm surprised at how quickly I read it. I really enjoyed that. It did help watching the film first though, because I think it has its own language, its own like setting, its own religions, and yeah, it's a bit of a minefield, so I think having seen the film first was very, very helpful. What else? I've been reading Lord of the Rings, which I've really enjoyed. If any of you don't know, I was a bit of a medievalist at university, and Tolkien was a medievalist, and a lot of his work is inspired by the medieval period, so that was a big thumbs up for me. I really enjoyed On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, which is one of my latest reads. I think it was just written so beautifully. It's written by a boy to his mother who can't speak English, can't read, or speaks a little bit of English, can't read, in the wake of the Vietnam War, and it's just so touching and moving and beautiful. The writing is gorgeous. It's so heartfelt, it's heartbreaking. I remember sitting crying on the train on my commute into work because I was just so touched by it. Yeah, I would definitely recommend reading it. It's such a good book, and I'm really glad I stumbled upon that this year. And the other one that was quite a heavy read but also quite comical was Small Pleasures. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. It's like that blue book with like clementines or oranges on the front. It's a very distinct cover. I think it got awarded a lot of book prizes and it was very well talked about. As I've said, a couple of heavy topics, but in general quite a light-hearted read, quite funny. It's about a woman that claims she's had a virgin birth, and the journalist goes away and researches into it to see if her claims are true, if she could have had a virgin birth, which again sounds like a funny concept for a book, but it does deal with some quite serious topics. But all in all, a good read, a good light-hearted summer read. The next question is work life how you imagined it would be? And I would say it's far better. So when I was at university, I was working like 24/7, stressed all the time, constantly worrying about exams, revising, writing essays, trying to read beyond the reading list. I was just in a constant state of stress. And coming into the real world, I work 9 to 5. I shut my laptop lid at 5 o'clock and I don't stress about it. I'm like, that's a tomorrow problem. That will be a 9 AM tomorrow problem. I don't need to worry about this in my free time. I have weekends off to do things with my friends. I'm earning money to go away and eat nice food and go out on day trips with my friends, to go on holidays and buy what I want. It's great. Like, I'm loving the independence of being an adult, having all of this free time. I didn't realize quite how much I could love my job as well. Like, I'm very, very fortunate that I'm in a team I love, with people I love, doing work I really enjoy, and I don't have that like sick feeling in my stomach on a Sunday night of, oh, it's back to work tomorrow, or like, oh, I hate my job, or I want to leave, or I actually enjoy logging on to work. I don't feel anxious about going. Obviously, no one wants to be at work all the time, and everyone would be far happier if they were just off on holidays and having fun, but as things go, as jobs go, this is a good place to be, I think, to actually love what I do and not dread going in, and actually kind of enjoy going in most days and doing the work I do and interacting with the people I interact with. I'm lucky enough to be in a job that's very sociable, that meets my ways of working, my interests, my passions, and yeah, I think I've really landed on my feet with this one. I've kind of carved my way into this career path and really sat down and thought about it logically, so it does make sense that I've found my way into a career that does fit with me. That was kind of the whole thought process about moving into the tech industry and moving into what they call agile ways of working, which really fits with my logical brain that likes set meetings, that likes set tasks and set ways of working, that's less ad hoc and frantic. So yeah, work is far better than I expected it to be, and I'm really, really glad about that. The last question is quite a funny one, and it's, what's the question you would like to be asked but don't think you will be asked? And I really kind of thought about this when I was writing them out in my notebook, because I wasn't too sure, and I think given that I'm filming this in the month of June, I've got a lot coming up. I guess I wish someone had asked, what is it that you've got coming up that you're looking forward to, or what's on the horizon, or something along those sort of lines. And as I've said earlier in the video, I'm really excited for my birthday this Saturday. I'm throwing a bit of a picnic and celebration in London in one of the parks. I've invited a mixture of my university friends, my home friends, my work friends, so it's going to be a weird eclectic mix of different people all coming together to celebrate my birthday, and I'm super extra about my birthday, so I'm very excited about that. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but I am a twin, and coincidentally we were born on my dad's birthday, so birthdays have always been a really huge thing in my family, and it's really odd for me not celebrating with my family because it's always been such a family-centered occasion with us all sharing the same birthday. So I always worry it's going to be a bit flat, or I'll feel a bit sad on my birthday waking up on my own, so I've made sure to pack the weekend as much as I can, to see as many people as I can, to feel special and try not to feel like I'm missing out not being with my family. So my plan for the Saturday is to wake up, take myself off out for a fancy breakfast, spend that morning on my own, have a really slow one, ring my family to wish my dad and my brother a happy birthday as well, and then off to the park to have Prosecco and a picnic and see all of my friends. I then might end up going out that night if my friends and I fancy a little bit of a boogie, a bit of a celebration. If not, potentially just a chill night, filming. I might be having a little bit of a sleepover at one of my friends' houses. My bestie from work, I don't know if you've seen her before, she's called Maria. We made pizza together in one of my vlogs once, if any of you remember, but yeah, we might be doing that, which I'm really looking forward to. And then the next morning we decided we'll go out to brunch together at one of my favourite brunch places in Hackney to get something like French toast or banana bread or pancakes. Just, I want to have a full treat yourself weekend and really enjoy that. And then not so long after that, a couple of days later, my family are actually coming down to London because we're flying off on holiday on a 2-week cruise around the Mediterranean. So we're doing, I think, Italy, France and Malta, and then off to the Greek islands doing like Santorini, Athens, Mykonos. I guess the only consolation of not seeing my family on my birthday is that I know I'm going to be seeing them so soon afterwards. So yes, lots of things to look forward to coming up. Everything's just going quite smoothly. I'm cruising along, pardon the pun, because I've just talked about cruising, and I'm feeling really good. So thanks for all of the questions that you've submitted, and thanks if you've made it this far through my video and care enough about my silly little life in London. I really appreciate all of you watching my videos and taking the time to share your love in the form of comments and likes and subscribing or following my Instagram, which, if I haven't plugged it already, go follow my Instagram. Leave a comment below if you've liked this video, or let me know what you want to see more of, or if you've got anything you'd like to share, please do let me know in the comments below. I like to hear about your lives as well. It makes it feel less like I'm talking to a screen, and it's more of a dialogue or a conversation. It's two-way, you know. And yeah, I hope you're all having a really good life at the minute. Bit of a weird thing to say, but I do. I hope everyone is in good spirits. And yeah, thanks for watching and thanks for sticking with me, guys. See you all next week. Bye.